It started as a joke among friends 20 years ago. They said they'd all grow old together in a dream house when they retire. But this dream became a reality earlier than they expected when the group of 7 best friends bought and refurbished a mansion in China, turning it into their very own future retirement home.
I have genuinely thought
could do
about
it,
this.
couldn't you?
I mean, I really have. I was a huge fan of the Golden Girls. I used to love that.
Oh, loved it.
But, I mean, we know it's a real issue, you know, care in older age. We all, you know, do we want our family to be responsible for us? I mean, I guess your family want to be responsible for you, but if you needed some care, I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it? You get a group of friends and you would share the expenses for all that kind of thing. Is it a pipe dream? I mean, would it happen when it actually came to it? I don't know.
I don't know. I think people do it, though, don't they? What about the Marigold Hotel? I know that's a film and it's not real, but the real Marigold Hotel, that was real.
Yeah. But doesn't that depend on people being older but really quite well? I mean, if somebody is really unwell and in need of nursing care...
But if you think about it, it's like, what are these sheltered housing where you've all got your own flat, but then you've got somebody there if you need that. I think it's that sort of level, really, isn't it? Obviously, if you need, you know, a lot of care, it wouldn't work.
But it's like the opposite of a care home here, isn't it? If you're going to buy a house, I've thought about it too. I've thought about it a lot, actually. When I was single, especially, I thought, well, you know, this would be a great idea. Get some friends who are also single. When we get older, let's buy a house. And my reason for doing it or thinking about it was not really health reasons, but because I wanted to carry on living.
Yeah, it's company.
Yeah, exactly.
Of it,
and when you go into a home here, the impression you get is that you stop living.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you don't really have anything to do most of the time, and it's quite restricting. And I always thought, well, it would be great to just... Because the Marigold Hotel does that. Everyone's drinking wine and dancing and going out on dates and things like that. And it's a great thing to do, but...
I think in America they're further ahead in this. I mean, they have much kind of organised retirement villages, and they do have care facilities and stuff like that. I mean, she'd be good because she could cook for us.
Yeah.
You'd have to come.
Yeah. That would be good.
And what would you be good at then? You could do the sweeping. You're really good at sweeping.
I'm very telling us all what to do.
Yeah.
But it does make you think about... when you are older, what happens when someone maybe does have to look after you? Do you then rely on the people around you, your family and your friends? And do you want to put that burden on them potentially as well? It is something that we all have to think about.
Have you had that conversation?
Oh, yeah, no, we would talk about things all the time, particularly if you'd be out walking and you see maybe an elderly couple and you think, oh, I hope that's us when we're older, but what if one of us isn't well? And I would absolutely 100% want to look after my husband and my family, my parent. I mean, it would be a privilege to be able to do it, and I know it's not an easy task for an awful lot of people. It's a terrible struggle, in fact. But what a wonderful thing it would be to be able to look after the person that you loved as best you could. But I know that's not always possible for lots of people.
Well, I mean, I think what people say is that they don't want to be a burden. I mean, it's almost, in a strange way, easier to be the person who's doing the caring.
Yes.
Because you know you're doing the right thing, you know you're doing it for the right reasons, although it can be very difficult. I mean, having been through this with my mum and dad. But a lot of people say, I don't want to be a burden. You know, and they struggle more with that, of thinking, like, I mean, with Mark, would you want him to look after you? Would you expect him to look after you?
Well, I think a lot of people think that's the reason he's there. I do think that, but...
Do they?
Absolutely. I think, oh, well, you know, at least you've got someone to look after you when you're old. But obviously, I wouldn't put that on him. If he doesn't feel comfortable doing it, he didn't want to, then I would find ways I would find another way, absolutely. I wouldn't expect him to look after me, but
What about the other way around?
I think he would want to. Oh, absolutely I would. No question. Absolutely no question. But nobody says that to me, ever. No one says, oh, what about if you have to look after him because he's so much younger than me? So for me, it's a natural thing. I couldn't think of not doing it. And I'm sure he's the same, but I can't speak for him. And you don't know what you're going to do or what you think until it actually happens. And it might be different. I might feel like, well, I don't know. You know, I can't say.
I mean, that's why I find these conversations really difficult, because how you speak about it when it's not actually in front of you is very different. It's hypothetical, and with the best will in the world. I mean, you know, you should think about it. But, you know, having seen my mum and dad go through it, you know, you're working on instinct. People are scared, you know, when actually the sense of their own mortality comes up, that they deal with illness, you know, some very difficult bits of it. I think what we see when we're hale and hearty and the reality of actually having to deal with those situations. It's like before you become a parent. I mean, you'll have had this, Christine. Lots of people have been giving you advice, etc., etc. But until it actually happens, you don't really know, do you?
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah.
You just don't know.
And it's a human thing as well, isn't it? A lot of people quite bravely say, well, you know, if I get really old or really sick, then I'm going to go to Switzerland or I'm going to do something and go somewhere else. But when it actually comes to it, you really don't know, because there's a human thing that makes you want to survive and just carry on. It's a very difficult decision to make, to try and do something that you kind of got yourself thinking that you will do. You've got to change your mind. It's really hard. It's one of them conversations you can't really have an answer to.
No.
I haven't got an answer.
I know, you know what I think our answer is? Let's get a loose women retirement home.
I think a loose retirement home.
We could just talk on and on.